Hello. I'm getting everything all ready for tonight's live. Just taking me a couple seconds. Tuck some cables. You know what? I probably shouldn't have even, hopefully, that's okay. All right, let's get this all ready. Hope everyone's having a great night. Getting everything ready. Why is it my darn iPad? I tell you, man. All right. Let's see, a little bit over to the side. That'll work great. Let's do a little bit more of a zoom in. Alrighty. All right, we're gonna go ahead, bring up the comments. Okay, if you guys are dropping by, drop me a quick comment just to say hello. I've got a couple items I've got to grab, but it's gonna be a fun live tonight. I am feeling the spooky spirit, and we're gonna have some fun trick-or-treat crafting. So, have a fun idea for a card. It's a little non-traditional because it kind of combines some different fandoms. Hello, Audra. Hope you're having a good night. But we're going to combine some dies. We're going to use the Tricks and Treats stamp set, which I cannot believe I haven't used before. I'm going to color up my image with Olo markers, so it's going to be a little new for us all because I don't use them often during my Facebook Lives. But I'm excited. I think it's gonna be fun. I'm using my new phone, so I'm gonna have like a new sort of setup going on in my craft space, which has been a little bit of an interesting adjustment, but we're getting there. But hello, everyone. Hope everyone's having a fantastic Wednesday night. Yes, new phone. I got a new phone a couple weeks ago. I'm a bad friend. I haven't mentioned these things. I'm also, Audra, wearing I don't know if I can show. It's a Dolly Parton t-shirt, and it's her on the cover of Playboy. Got that this weekend. So we love that. Sorry that it's upside down, but all the fun things tonight. So, all right, we're gonna do a little bit of crafting. Yes, and then I was in the office by myself today, so I wore it to work. And then y'all who don't know, I work with my parents. My dad comes in, he just looks at me. It's like after lunchtime, he's like, "This is work appropriate," and I'm like, "Nobody is here, leave me alone." So anyways, we're gonna get into some coloring. I'm gonna start with some some Olo markers, and I'm gonna start off by coloring up this scary man that's included in the Tricks and Treats stamp set. So we're gonna start, I think I'm gonna start with some G15, and I'm just gonna kind of add this anywhere that there would be a little bit of a shadow. Now, let's talk Olos for a minute. I think I've done this. I maybe have used them in one other Facebook Live. I have started my Olo marker journey / collection / whatever we want to call it earlier this year. Probably started in around March or so. I do not have a full set, unlike my Copics where I do. And I have been really enjoying using my Olo markers, but I found some things that I think that they work better for, and I'm still not at a point where I love coloring human characters with my Olo markers. I just haven't found marker combinations that I feel like are as good as when I use my Copics, but I really have been enjoying using them for my non-human images. So I would definitely consider the Spooky Man part of that. Or anything that's inanimate. Yes, inanimate. I think I accidentally put a D in there. It's not supposed to be. So I've really enjoyed using them generally. There's definitely pros and cons. I'm not at a point that I will be making a 100% switch. I don't know if I could ever really abandon my Copic markers, to be honest, but what I really like is that these markers are really nice and juicy. And I really like that there is support from a company, because Copic's kind of MIA. They don't really get involved too much in the industry. Like, for example, and I'm not looking for any sort of special attention. Now I'm going to switch over. First I used G1.5, now we're going to YG 2.5. If you follow me on Instagram, I tag the companies that I work with or products that I'm using in my posts. And for the last 6 years at this point, I've been tagging Copic anytime I use a Copic marker. They've never once interacted. They've never liked a post. They've never commented. And I'm not necessarily saying like, oh, I deserve this. It's just kind of surprising, like somebody who is posting like, honestly, over 100 posts a year that probably tag their company, to get no feedback at all or nothing over the course of 6 years. Olo, on the other hand, they're a little newer to the industry. At least I think they are. If I'm speaking out of turn, I apologize. But they'll comment on my post. They'll even interact with me if it's not a post that features Olo markers. Like, I shared something today. I didn't use a single alcohol marker on the post, and they like interacted with me about it. And it's just, that goes a long way to work with a company that's like in the industry and wants to like have a name and a presence, especially when people invest a lot in their product and are using them so often. So Audra said, I agree. These markers, I like how they fit in my hand. And I'm very surprised. I like how the marker nibs work. I like that. So the thing with Olo markers is you can shake them and hear the liquid inside. I don't know if you guys can hear that. They don't have like a center sort of like barrel technology that it's all stuck in some like foam center or however it is with Copics. So it's a free-flowing liquid in there. And they have said that they use like a considerable amount more of the ink than what other types of markers allow. I can see that. And I think that these markers, I can feel the quality of them. And I don't think I'm ever going to have to worry about like cracked caps, which is another main concern of mine when it comes to Copics. When you're spending $6+ on a marker and then you've got to replace it because of a cap issue, I don't really love that. But we're not sitting here, I'm not bashing, but I'm just kind of talking about pros and cons, because I do think, like Audra had said, if Olo comes out with more colors, I definitely think that that is a benefit. In comparison to Copic right now, they do not have the same scope of colors. I kind of think one of the areas that there could be a little bit of improvement and advancement with is that I don't think that they capitalize enough on the lightest colors that are offered. I think it's a lot of like darker colors, where Copic, like you could do like YG0000 and it's like a super light, almost white, where this is like the lightest I can get is YG 2.1, you know? And that's just not as light as I would like. But anyways, I digress. Okay, let's go. But anyways, that's just kind of my thoughts and opinions about using a non-Copic marker. And I do think you're going to see me use these more often, because I do really enjoy them. And like for this guy, he's not a human. He doesn't use a lot of colors. I have no problem tapping in and using my Olos for something like this, because I think it definitely gets the job done. And I think it's going to look equally as good as it would with my Copic markers. But I still use my coloring twice rule, you know, gotta keep some constants. It works really nicely with all of my alcohol marker safe inks and alcohol marker preferred papers, which is great. So now that I'm thinking about it, I kind of need to put a piece of paper under this guy. So let's go ahead and do that. So a little tip and trick when you're coloring with alcohol markers. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to pick shadow tones or darker tones for your markers. For example, for YG, you can often pull from the G colors for a shadow tone. Just like with yellows, you can pull from the earth tones. So you kind of got to know some of those little tips and tricks that are going to make it easier for you to pull shadows and get a nice variance of color. Looking right now, I need a whiteout pen in a second. That's a little too much, that's okay. Now I am coloring this up twice. What that just means is that I apply my color to my image twice to get a good saturation of ink. The saturation of ink kind of deepens the color a little bit. In addition to that, it also makes it easier for the colors to blend. Just kind of blending this out. And I have to really soon, I can't believe we're at the end of July right now. I have been waiting for August for quite some time. We had made travel plans. I think if you tuned into my last Facebook Live, I let the cat out of the bag that I'm heading overseas in August and gonna visit a new castle park in Japan. So I'm very excited. A little nervous, but like mostly excited. The excitedness well outweighs any nervousness. But that being said, I'm kind of getting all of my crafty obligations laid out and taken care of so that I can leave and not create for 10 days and not feel behind, or making sure I still have some posts on my Instagram, trying to stay active. I know I've been talking to Audra and working with it. The Kindred stamps release is going to be, I believe, right as I'm gone. But y'all know I'm not going to miss the Kindred stamps release. I actually would like to do something with some Kindred stamp stuff that I have some plans for with my travels, but we'll see if I get to it. You never know. But I think it's exciting. I'm very excited to head out of town. Actually, I just went to Nashville with my husband this last weekend. We went to go see the previews of Dolly Parton's new musical while we were down there. Before, I believe it's going to be headed to Broadway. So that's really exciting to us. It was really cute. I think anytime you go and see something in previews, you're going to find like, oh, they could do this, they could do that. So I definitely saw some areas of improvement, but it was a really, really talented cast. They've had most of their main cast members have had leading roles on Broadway. I've actually seen some of them on Broadway, which was really kind of interesting to see. But it was fun to go down. I'm not a huge country music person, so we kind of found some kind of generic touristy things to do. Like we toured the Grand Ole Opry, which was something I would recommend to anybody visiting Nashville. We did I think it was called a backstage tour. I don't know, you can buy it from the website. It's not super expensive, because sometimes you go places and those backstage experiences can cost you what feels like an arm and a leg. But we did a tour. It was an hour-and-a-half tour. Did the last one of the day. Really, really cool to go and to just kind of learn about it. It's kind of like a country music fraternity. So it was really kind of unique, and even if country music might not be your thing, I would I would wager that there's probably someone that you enjoy listening to their music that is important to country music. And I think that makes it worth visiting. So we're just kind of going in with that YG 2.1. Now, one thing I've noticed with Olos is it's really easy to almost oversaturate the paper. And then when that happens, sometimes the ink will begin to bleed out to areas you don't want it to go to. So I try to do my best. Sometimes that's why it helps to have a piece of paper underneath, because that'll catch any ink that'll seep through, as opposed to like if you put it just on a glass mat, that could create some problems. So, all right. Perfect, perfect. And then we're gonna work on his mouth, and we're gonna do some warm gray. And that's one thing I need to do, is I need to get some new warm gray Olos. Because I only have up to W5, and they go up to, I believe it's W9. And I would like them to go a little darker. But what I love is that this guy kind of colors up really quickly, which is why I thought that if I was going to put him on a card, we'd have a little bit of extra time together to make his card really special. So we're going to do that. We're going to do a lot of ink blending, get into that spooky spirit of things. Blends going nice and easy. It only took me like 7 different marker colors, 4 and 3. So I'll take that. If you also were really kind of fluent when it comes to like adding detail with colored pencil, you could add some like crosshatch marks, just because he's kind of got like that burlap feel to him. So you could definitely do that as well. This is also, I don't know if they're in inventory, but it is one of the few Kindred stamp sets that does have a coordinating die set, or did at one point. I clearly have not used it, so I'm going to snap apart this die. Hello, Amy. Hope you're having a good night. There we go. Let's just kind of trim off my little excess snips. All right. And then we're going to go ahead, we'll process him through a die cutting machine, of course. Perfect. All right. Let me gotta grab a couple things that are over on my desk. I didn't grab any foam tape. Gotta get some of that. Gotta get some scissors. Gotta get a little bit of tape. And, I gotta get that as well. Okay. So we're gonna go in. Let's go ahead. We'll tack our die down. All right, go ahead and put this on the plate and process it through my die cutting machine. Love my Spellbinders Platinum 6, especially that it's black. Just like a nice bold piece of equipment in your craft space. Love it. I used to use my electronic die cutting machine. I have the Sizzix Big Shot Switch, which I do really love. It's fantastic for 3D embossing folders, like the best. But I find I just don't need it all the time. The plates are so big, they're kind of expensive. So I like to opt just to use my small little machine, and it works really nicely. this. Oh, we got little dice. I didn't even remember that. That'd been cute to color up. Not doing it now. All right. I do want to go in. I grabbed a white gel pen. These are Karen gel pens. They actually work really nicely. And just kind of correct the areas that I went a little out of line. Just like that. Okay, cool. Perfect. So we're going to go ahead, set that off to the side. I'm going to grab a couple different paper splatters as well. And we're just going to kind of start to work on different elements for our background and different elements of our card. So let me put these off to the side. Don't need these right yet. So I thought it would be really fun to use the mouse apple dies and the Halloween add-on dies. So as I was getting everything together, I die cut the orange pumpkin, but I didn't realize that what's really cool about the Halloween add-on is that this is all one image. So what you could do is take this die, put it onto the pre-die cut mouse apple, and it'll cut around it. And then if you do just the solid mouse apple again, you could then go behind it and you could add in a backer piece, which is really going to just make it super easy for you. You don't have to worry about adhering a bunch of little pieces together. So I love that about this. And I'm sitting here thinking right now, realizing I don't know. Oh, there it is. Yes, I do have it. I thought I didn't have the stick. But we're gonna go in. We're gonna do a little bit of ink blending. I've got to grab. Ooh, no, I don't need to grab anything. I have a brush. So I'm gonna go in, and I'm gonna use carved pumpkin and rusty hinge. That's gonna be for my pumpkin. But we're gonna also go in with a little bit of black soot. And I've got one of these Simon Hurley blending brushes, and I like these, but I don't think I could use them with everything. So I'm gonna go in and I'm gonna use the black soot ink, and I'm gonna just ink blend kind of around to get a nice darkness. But I don't have to put that much effort into this because so much of it's gonna be covered. So I just kind of gotta go and make sure that it's gonna be noticeable. I think that'll work okay. Just to kind of get, you can barely even notice it, but there is just a little bit of an ink blendedness to this that I think is really gonna help it. So I'm gonna put that off to the side and put that to the side. And then I'm gonna go in, let's do a little bit of water. Don't love that spray bottle. I used to have a spray bottle, same one, but I bought it like 5-6 years ago, and I accidentally cracked it. I don't even remember what I did. I think I just dropped the bottle and it cracked, and I was very surprised. And I had to buy a new one, and for whatever reason, the new one just does not feel like the same quality of the older one. So anyways, so we're gonna go in with some carved pumpkin, and we're just gonna kind of ink blend around the edges. I don't even know if I'm gonna need this rusty hinge. I'll probably add it anyways. But I thought earlier, so when I like to do distress inks, which is a dye ink, on top of colored cardstocks. And my rule of thumb is like, always grab the lighter cardstocks and go lighter than what your intended color is going to be. Because my thought was like, ooh, I want to have like this be an orange candied apple, but I didn't want it to be like hyper orange. I wanted it to like still have a lightness and highlight to it. And I thought that if I started with a standard orange cardstock and die cut from that. And then I would have to ink blend it with like a dark orange or a black or a brown. And I'm like, that pumpkin is just gonna look too dark. So I grabbed, this is I think it's Dreamsicle. It's paper by Concord and Ninth, which I didn't remember that I had. So when I found it today, I was very happy because I didn't think I had a light orange color because I was trying to go for like a dried marigold color, if you're familiar with like the Distress family of products. So when I found this in my stash, I'm like, oh yes, this is it. Absolutely. So just kind of going in and just doing a nice sort of coloring of our Mickey. Oh, I said a bad word. Of our pumpkin. I'm so sorry. Oh, you're so kind, Amy. I'm doing well. Just a long work day. It's been a lot lately. I'm going with some rusty hinge. I'm happy to be home. My husband's working a little late today. But he's picking up dinner on the way home. So when I'm done with this live, we'll have pizza and salad waiting for me, which sounds delightful. Just trying to look at the good things. We've got like an hour-and-a-half YouTube video to watch tonight, which I'm not mad about. So I'm adding Rusty Hinge as like the darker color to do the distressing with because it's like an orangey brown and it just slightly darkens the edge. I didn't want to go in and add like a vintage photo just because I thought it was going to make it too distressed looking. And I'm looking, that sounds funny, but it's like I want the blended edges, but I don't want things to look aged. And I feel like sometimes when you add a lot of brown to the edges, it gives an aged look or a vintage look, and that's not what I was going for. So, oh, thank you so much. I hope it's relaxing too. I would appreciate that. All right, so I'm gonna grab, I didn't grab my glue gun, so I will grab that. I think the last thing I should need after this is embellishments, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. So like I had said, I'm just going to adhere this nicely on top of our backer piece. So we're just going to kind of go ahead. Go ahead and add that in. You could also kind of paper piece this as well. That if you wanted to do like a lit up pumpkin, you could add in, drop in little yellow die cuts of this jack-o'-lantern face. I think that would be super cute. So things to keep in mind. All right, so we've got that. Now let's go in. I almost should do two different greens, but it's okay. So I'm gonna go in right now and we're gonna do the leaves. Grab the second one and I'm just going to kind of begin to add these in. So I'm going to grab some Lucky Clover, which has kind of become my new favorite green to craft with. I've kind of stayed away from it for a while because I really stayed in the lane of like Mowed Lawn and Twisted Citron, which I still, oh, Twisted Citron is such a good color. But this is just a really vibrant and fun, blue, like kind of bluish green. And I was like, I'm not using this as much as I should. So here we are. All right, just like that. Perfect. Do a little bit of tweezer work. Get this all nicely adhered. Just kind of put these into place directly on top. Creates a nice little layering effect. Love thought out die cuts that way. Love those little details. Especially require a huge headache to put together. Sometimes it's a bunch of little dies, and that is a recipe for a headache. All right, we're gonna do this. Cool. All right. Now this, let's go ahead and do a little bit of glue. Just enough to make it adhere nicely. And then stick it right there. Well, I mean, another dye sale, I know it was like all the dyes were just on sale. So who knows? You never know when another one might happen. But I know that there are a handful of dyes that are currently in stock that are on sale right now. So definitely check those out if you haven't. That goes for anybody. All right, we're gonna go in, and sometimes I just like to go with residual ink, but we're gonna go with some Dusty Concord. I just wanna tap off a bunch of excess, and then I just wanna do like the bottom of this apple stick, just to kind of give it a little bit of a purple to white ombre. All right, so we've got our little apple. So we've got that ready. So I'm gonna set that off to the side. Next I have, so I did grab this like squiggle mat dye that was in my stash, and I just wanted to grab it and distress the edges with it using that black soot ink. So we're just gonna go in. I just got a text from my mom, who's of course dog sitting for us when we're overseas. And I have an older dog. I have a 12-year-old pit bull. His name is Duke. I've had Duke since he was a puppy. Back when I used to live with my parents, I got him. So Duke holds a special place in everybody's heart. And as he's been getting older, his mobility isn't what it once was. And my parents recently moved into a home that's got more stairs that he has to do. So I just got a text from my mom, and I'm sure she's like, look what grandma got. And I'm sure that she got something to make it for Duke a little easier when he's at grandma and grandpa's, because he makes everyone a little bit of a nervous wreck sometimes, but he's a good boy. He still manages to get up on the couch though, you know, so can't be that bad. All right, perfect. Let's set this off to the side. I have a little bit down there that I don't know how I got that, but that's fine. I also thought it would be fun to use some Crocodile Tears Solar Spray, just to kind of add some shimmer. So we're gonna shake this up, and then I'm gonna perfect. So I'll bring it a little closer. It's gotta dry, of course, but I've got this solar spray is like a pearlescent spray. So as it catches the light, there's a color shift technology. And this one, when it's against the black, you can really see the intended color of green. But when you have it on a lighter color, that's when you start to get the color shift where it looks like it could go between two different colors. But I just thought that this would kind of be a fun way to add a little bit of sparkle to this project. All right. Next, we're gonna do a little bit more blending. I'm gonna grab a slightly larger brush, as you can see, I kind of make my way through and use a lot of different styles of brushes. And it just kind of depends on what I'm going for. This, I want some nice coverage because I'm going to distress, the edges of this panel of light purple cardstock. And I'm going to distress it with Dusty Concord first. That's the first color we're going to use. Of course, we're going to do a little bit more. And I like to kind of turn my paper. I'm not looking for this blend to be perfect. This is a Halloween card, mind you, which kind of opens it up to like torn edges and imperfect lines and jaggedy lines of sorts. So we're just kind of going to have fun with it. We're going to do a little paper splatter too. And going in. Now this panel is trimmed down. I used a die cut to get it perfect sizing. It's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. That's gonna be so that when I put it onto an A2 size card base, I'm gonna have a really nice sort of frame around it from the white of the card base. Got that. Next, let's go in with our last color, which is going to be Villainous Potion, just to kind of give that deep purple. It really makes those edges even darker. Now I know there's a couple imperfect lines. In all honesty, I think some of them because I have spit a little as I've spoken, and then it catches under the brush and with the ink and it gives you dark lines and blah, blah, blah. So it's fine. We're fine. Justin just says it and sprays it, I guess. So we're gonna go in, we're gonna jazz this up a little bit. So let's go in, we're gonna do a couple different splatters. And then we'll let it dry. So we're gonna go ahead, I've got Liquid Snowflake White, and this is just gonna add some sparkle. So we'll do this first. And this one's gotta get a little bit of water added to it. And then we'll grab what I believe is a clean brush. Gosh, let's hope. And this stuff really kind of does splatter. Like you'll get those splatter lines, which I think is fun. Yes, I have it's a microfiber cloth. It's oh my gosh, I think it's called like a craft towel. This one's from scrapbook.com. It actually comes in like a roll of 20. So it's just this really kind of lightweight towel, and they're actually machine washable. You can get like 50 uses out of them. It's something like it can be in the wash like 20 or 50 times before it would have to be disposed of. So that's really helpful, but I do use microfiber cloths when I craft almost exclusively. And this one, the way that it feels, I'm near certain this is microfiber. All right, we're gonna do some opaque white paper splatter. This opaque white, I haven't been like loving recently. I've been using a lot of it, And sometimes I feel like it could dry a little more opaque than it does. But see, as I'm doing this, it's kind of taking away all of the imperfections of the paper and just kind of covering everything up. I think that's one of my favorite things to do when I make a mistake, is to cover it up with some splatters. Except now I'm looking and I got splatters. I got a couple white splatters on this background, but honestly, that's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. Also, we got to remember with this, I'm really only going to see the outline, so I don't have to worry too much about what the center looks like. So, all right. You know what? Since I got a little extra blackout of the splatter, we'll add it to this. Just for a little bit of fun. All right. And there we go. Let's go ahead. We'll set that aside to dry as well. Let's do a little bit of cleanup. This usually cleans up really nicely with just a wee little bit of water. All right. Hello, Chris. Hope you're having a good night. Sounds like you might have enjoyed Olos. I think that's a good call, Chris. I know that was directed at Audra, but I'm gonna just hop in if you don't mind. I bought some tri-blends, and I got them as like a travel marker, which is funny. I've never really brought markers with as I travel, and I want to get into that. However, I didn't love the way that the blends are with the tri-blends. I almost wish there was more of a variance between them. I almost feel like when I talk about Copics, when you think about like highlight, mid-tone, and shadow, I think of like for values like a 369, that kind of spreads them out a little bit so you get like the full variance. Where I feel like for Spectrum Noir, it was more along the lines of like 234. So it was like always kind of hovering more towards the light end of things. But I know that so many people love their Spectrum Noir tri-blends, and I just feel like I'm one of the minority when it comes to that for whatever reason, because I know that there's a love for them. Maybe it's because I started with Copics. I don't know. I have no excuses. I just love that we all find different things that work for us. And I think it just works really nicely. So, all right, I kind of want to map this out. So we're going to do, so it's going to be that on top. And then we're going to do, it's going to be kind of like this and this. Oh, that's cute. Okay, I have ideas. I know where I'm going to put my sentiment. All right, so we're going to work on our sentiment next. And for our sentiment, I'm pulling out the Tricks and Treats set again, and I'm going to grab Misty, and I'm going to grab some gray cardstock, same gray that I used as I cut my squiggle mat, and I want to do the Boo No Tricks, Just Treats for You sentiment, and then fussy cut it out. So we're going to go in. We'll heat emboss it, of course. So pick this up, grab my embossing tool, that thing. It's like one of my favorite tools in my craft stash. I remember I bought it, I was out of town in San Diego, and we were at the San Diego Safari Park. And I remember that they announced that they were coming out with that tool. And I'm like, oh my God, I need to order this. And I ordered it like on the spot, on vacation. And I was just like, I need this. And I've used it ever since. All right, so we got that. I'm gonna do Snowfall embossing powder, but I just need to catch it with something. And I use that embossing tool because it creates like an anti-staticness so that it doesn't have too many stragglers of embossing powder particles. All right. Also, I've learned, do not heat emboss directly over your mats. You will melt a hole in them. But if you do it away while it's still present, you should be fine. Perfect. Ooh, maybe a little bit in this on a B. Perfect. That's perfect. And of course, whenever I say perfect, I don't mean literally perfect. Just from the sense of that I'm satisfied with the result that I'm currently getting. All right. It really is a good sentiment. I like that it's nice and bold, Kathy. So, definitely a win in my book, too. We have good tastes. Now, I do like to fussy cut my sentiments on occasion. And this just allows me to kind of control where they end up on my card a little bit better. And it allows me to give them the opportunity to really pop. Because I can put foam tape behind them. I can make sure that the colors pop nicely. I'm gonna have to zap my panels with a heat gun. I can already tell that they're not drying as quickly as I would like. Maybe I should have done those before my coloring, but that's okay. Sometimes, Kathy, I do. Sometimes I do with the sentiment if it's nice and bold, just because I like that sort of finished edge. I've also noticed over the last maybe 2 years, I'll say, companies that do coordinating die sets with their sets, some of them have been coming out with coordinating die cuts for their sentiments and stamp sets as well, which I really love. But sometimes I feel some sentiments are small enough that they don't, it's kind of more cumbersome to use dies with them, but I guess I'd rather be upset that I have it, but it's more difficult than not have the option of having it at all, if that makes sense. So, But yeah, I definitely love that that's become a trend over, but I would say over the last 2 years. I'm sure if somebody heard me and said, oh, you know what, these have actually been, there have been companies doing that for multiple years now. I'm sure that's the case. I just kind of go off of what I think I remember. So, all right, so we're going to grab both of our panels, and I'm going to grab a different heat gun. Now, this is the Heat It Craft tool. If you notice when I did my heat embossing, I used a heat gun, which is great for embossing. But it's a very sort of direct hit sort of heat, and this is more of like a small, crafty hairdryer that only works on one low speed. And this is really nice to give sort of a nice general heated element to your panel. So just make sure. All right. Perfect. This is all dry. All right, so I'm going to use some liquid adhesive to adhere my squiggle mat. So I'm going to just kind of carefully put this towards the center of my card. Because it's a squiggle mat though, and it's imperfect, you just kind of got to generalize where you think it belongs. I don't know how it would necessarily, how you could make an argument that anywhere on this card feels like true center with a squiggle mat, but here we are. All right. We've got our squiggle mat. Now my thought is I'm gonna do that. And then, so it kind of overlaps just maybe a little bit. And we'll pop our little guy on there. And then we'll put our sentiment up here. Yeah, we're gonna do it like that. So I'm gonna adhere, I think I want foam tape on everything, to be honest with you. So how are we gonna do this? So if I put this kind of in the center, we're gonna have this guy like right here. So I need to put a little bit of liquid adhesive on his face. Oh, thank you, Carrie. I think it's gonna be a really cute card. I like, kind of after I planned this, I was like, oh, I kind of could just do the pumpkin apple. And I'm like, no. I told everyone we were gonna use the Tricks and Treats set, so let's do that. But you really could make your candied apples the star of the show. So what I'm doing right now is I am making my die cuts and images just sort of one unit. And then I'm gonna put foam tape directly behind them. All right, so we're gonna flip that over, and I am just going to kind of go to town with foam tape strips. Just kind of getting everything nice and layered up. I probably could have used a thicker foam strip, and that's okay. I really love using these. So, even though they're not super thick. Just making sure I'm not dragging it through any ink. Oh yeah, that would be a headache. That'd be so sad. Kind of adding it all in. Like that. Keep going. All right, so now I've just got to add in a little bit up here. Do a little first foot. And that looks good to me. I think that's enough coverage. I just have a little bit left over. All right, so we're gonna go in and add this together. Sorry, you had to hear me kind of methodically place all of my foam tape, and now you've got to hear me take each piece of backing tape off. I tell you, I love me some good foam tape. Like, talk about something that you use in every single card, but maybe you don't think about it that much. That's me in foam tape. There used to be a time too where, like, and maybe this is you, and this is not bad. This is just from what I've accumulated over the years, that I legitimately would have one roll of foam tape, and that's just what I had. And I had to kind of make it work, cut it down, and now I'm so lucky that I have foam tape in so many different shapes and sizes. No. All right, phew. Let's see. I think that's pretty stinking cute. All right, so we've got that. Let's get it onto a card base. And then I think I'm gonna go in and add some enamel dots maybe. We'll see. Just gonna kind of add some liquid adhesive to my card and then put it on my card base. As you can see, I get that nice white frame because my panel was slightly smaller than A2 sized. Just like this. All right. I think we need some green sequins. What do I have? What can I grab? You know what? I've got some enamel dots that we're just gonna pull from. I'm gonna put one right there. And then I'm gonna do right there, and a small one right there. Just keep it at 3, I think. Keep it nice and simple. And y'all, I think we're done. I think that does it for our card tonight. I think this is super cute. Sometimes you come up with an idea, and what I love about this is it kind of was minimal coloring. Only had to use 7 different markers, which in terms of Copic markers or Olo markers is not bad. And then just kind of pull from our inks and utilize some shortcuts, and I love this. Okay, so let's kind of recap everything that we used to make this card come together. So we used the Tricks and Treats stamp set. That's where our little spooky guy came from, and our sentiment of boo, no tricks, just treats for you. We also used the mouse apple die set that gave us the body of the mouse, and it also gave us the straw that we used, or stick, whatever you want to call it. But then we used the Halloween apple add-ons, and that allowed us to turn our mouse apple into a little jack-o'-lantern. So we got our little spooky face from it. And now remember, I didn't paper piece each of these and adhere them on. I had two different apple pieces, and then I was able to die cut the face from the orange layer and then adhere it directly on top of my dark gray black layer. We also, of course, used a couple little leaves that we had distressed as well. We used some distressings all over the panel. I also used distressings for our background. And then I splattered it to high heavens. I used some solar spray. This is crocodile tears that we use on our background. I don't know if you guys can tell, but when it catches the light, there's a green shimmer on the black squiggle piece that I think is just to die for. I love that green is the color that has the subtle pops. He's the biggest green factor, but we've got like the leaves, we've got a couple enamel dots, and then depending on the lighting, you've got the different shimmer from the solar spray. And of course, we did our background as well. So kind of a simple card layout, nothing too crazy, but we did some creative layering. We did a little bit of heat embossing, a lot of splattering, and I just think that this is going to be so cute to send off to someone for the holiday. I'm so excited, you guys. Like, I see memes on Instagram where it's like, once 4th of July is over, it is officially like Halloween season. Like, that is the next major holiday. And I love that energy. Like, I say celebrate Halloween, July, August, September, October. Like, why not? But thank you all so very much for stopping by tonight. Oh, hello, Patsy. Hope you're having a good night. I will make sure to get this replay uploaded to my YouTube channel with a supply list, because I know I used a bunch of goodies that you guys are going to want to do a little bit of digging into. And I'll make sure to link all of the products from Kindred that I used to create this as well. Thank you guys all so much. This is my last live for the month, which probably doesn't come as a surprise for anybody because it's July 30th. I do anticipate with my upcoming travel plans, I will probably have my 2 August lives will take place in the first half of the month. So anticipate them. I'm trying to kind of think through some ideas with a live, because if they've got to do them early, I'm kind of wondering if doing like a 2-night 1-card project. But I got to think it through a little bit. I'm not 100% sold on it, but I'm almost wondering if I could do something that was like a little grander of an idea, and do it across 2 separate nights. But we'll see. If you've got any comments, if you've got any suggestions of something that you might want to see, and if it's something that maybe takes a little bit of time, let me know. I'm always open to some ideas. You guys are fantastic with supplying them to me. Otherwise, I'm just going to kind of pull from the stuff that I love, which is always fun too. But we'll do something fun next month. Hope you guys have a wonderful end of your night. And I look forward to seeing you guys real soon in August. Have a great rest of your night, everybody. Goodbye.